Putting the cartridge in, I thought Artelius was a completely different game. Then I hit start and I went, oh yeah, it's this one. Artelius is another forgotten game, but at least for this one I had the manual. You know it's a bad sign when the only video playthroughs I can find are speedruns, and there's exactly 2 of them. The game reminds me a lot of Zoids, where it's divided between a walk-around overhead view kind of RPG-ish thing, but combat goes into a first-person view where you move the crosshairs around. The thing is, I think Artelius is worse than Zoids. And Zoids was pretty bad. We get the needlessly complicated backstory in this text crawl. A bunch of people get sucked into a black hole, it takes them to another dimension. Eventually an evil king rises up in that other dimension. Then a scientist builds a warrior cyborg to go get the evil king. I think that's supposed to be the scientist on the box art, though he doesn't actually appear in the game. When you start the game, you have your choice of 8 save slots. Just an astronomical number of them. I actually checked all these save slots to see if anyone had made any progress in the game. All of them were at the very beginning, and I'm pretty sure that last one is mine. Starting a new game up, you awaken in the scientist's lab, and have to talk to his computer. The computer will help you assign points to different stats. Strength, plus your weapon's attack value, is how much damage you do. Max HP should be obvious. Agility solely affects whether or not you can run away in a battle, and that makes it a good dump stat. Max WE is your maximum weapon energy. When you acquire stronger weapons than the beams, those will eat through your weapon energy pretty quickly. Weapon energy is also used to activate warp points. Shield is your defense value. As it goes up, the damage you take goes down. There's no equipment that you can get to modify it, though. After you've assigned your stats, you can chat with the third computer to fill your energy bars, and then go to the warp point. And then you're dropped down in this asteroid field. Get used to this site, you're going to be here a long time. If you're going to survive more than a couple minutes, your first task is to locate this blue house near the starting point. This dog's place doubles as the inn and item shop for the game. Choosing the first option will let you select whether you want to recharge your weapon energy or your hit points. And below that you can choose to buy a couple of items. Stop paralyzes enemies, while the Devil Hammer just does 1 shot of extreme damage. Be careful while healing here. If you hit B, you exit the house immediately, and you can pay for healing but exit before you receive it. The other thing you need to know about before we go any further is how to save. Just hit start at any point, and then you can choose the top option to save. From this menu you can also hit start again, and that will let you select weapons if you have any. One thing to be aware about saving, it costs 10 credits. But that's a pretty trivial expense in this game. Okay, let's get into a fight. All of these pink orbs are monsters that are running around. Touching them will initiate a battle. And then you go to this screen where you can move the crosshairs and hit the A button to shoot. There's only 1 monster at a time that appears, so this is pretty straightforward. The biggest thing is that after a couple of fights you're going to realize something. All of the monsters have a pattern that they always follow exactly. So these battleships always move in the exact same pattern. These aliens riding platforms always move in the exact same pattern. These jellyfish always move in the exact same pattern. So after you've fought them a couple of times, you already know where they're going to move, and you can just go there and shoot them. It makes the game extremely boring. There's a pretty limited group of monsters, and they try to stretch it by doing palette swaps of them. I've seen 4 different colorations of these monsters. It seems to go green is the weakest, then purple, then orange, then gray. What monsters can appear seem to be dependent on what section of the maze you're in. You'll need to hang out at the dog's house until you level up a few times, or class up as they call it in Artelius. Once you're up to about level 4 or 5, you should be okay to travel a bit. You can explore around and find this weapon shop. Here, you can buy a weapon to double the strength of your beam. So you'll be adding 2 to your 12 strength instead of 1. You can get the other weapons here too, but activating them is not very helpful. It increases the weapon attack to 6, but I drained it in only 5 or 6 shots. That's not enough to take out one of the stronger enemies. Explore a bit further in the maze and you'll find these warp points. One of them costs 20 weapon energy. The maximum I got mine to was 7. The other one costs 4. And what mystical land does it take you to? A maze of green asteroids. These level layouts are just terrible. They're so generic that there's really no landmarks. Also, they loop at the edges, so you can't really use the stick-to-the-wall rule for getting around them. In the green maze, you'll find this space station, and there's NPCs walking around that you can talk to, as well as a new weapon shop, and the dog's prices have gone way up. And that's the point where I called it quits. I know there's more territory than this, including a planet surface you can go to, but it felt like I'd be grinding for several more hours before I made any progress at all. And like I said, the combat here is painfully unfun. It's the worst combinations of mindless and requiring constant adjustment. I can definitely see why nobody remembers Artelius. This is a game that would put anybody to sleep. How can a game have this much nothing in it? I can't see anybody wanting to play Artelius. And if they did, I don't see how they could have a good time.